Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've been waiting for. A podcast for podcasters. This is Creating the Greatest Show, and I'm your host, Casey Cheshire. Join me as we interview podcast hosts and investigate the ingredients of a successful interview podcast. We'll talk mistakes, earned skills, powerful questions, and more. This show is sponsored by Ringmaster, completely done for you B2B podcast production. And here we go. We're doing this thing. We hit the button, the energy's flowing, and guess what? My guest today is joining me from across an entire ocean. That's right, in France. I can't wait to introduce you to her. She's an international marketing leader and thought leader, previously a podcaster, and now a senior executive that joined a small little podcasting company that has grown it times two, grown this company. Her previous show was The Culinariste. She's now the Chief Marketing Officer at Ausha. Jennifer Hahn, welcome.
Hi, Casey. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Isn't it amazing that we can be chatting and you're over there, I'm over here, and maybe next time I'll fly to Paris.
You should.
And we'll do the show live.
Please come grab a coffee with me in Paris.
I'm in. You don't have to twist my arm. So I can't wait to dive into this. Your platform, your experience with podcasting. Let's just ask this first question to get things started off the right way. Jennifer, pull back the curtain for us on your experience and your show and share your most important strategy for a great podcast.
Well, my mantra about podcasting is you have to be obsessed by your listeners. For once, it's okay and healthy to have an obsession, But yeah, my mantra for everyone and for myself is really to be obsessed by your listeners. They have to be at the heart of everything you do about your podcast. And a lot of podcasters today, and even yesterday, they are so focused, on their own needs, but instead they should really, focus on what their listeners want. Because so far, why are we creating podcasts? Well, it's because we have a message to share and we want to be heard. So if we don't think about who is getting, our message, who is getting, the content, well, it's better to not have a podcast than just talk to yourself, in your room or only at your family dinner,
It reminds me, I've seen a TV show where they secretly videotape people singing in their cars, right? Because when you're in your car by yourself, you just sing and you don't care who's listening and how good you are.
Or in your shower.
Yeah. Or in your shower. Yes. But the idea of us just talking to ourselves, that's not quite a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you could talk to yourself. You could record you muttering things to yourself while you're making the bed, but it's something different. Podcasting has an audience. And what is it about the medium that causes? Well, so many of us can be selfish where we're just thinking about ourselves. And even I need to be reminded to think more about my audience. Where does this come from? Why do we forget that there are people listening?
I guess that's sometimes you're, so focused on your content, on what you wanted to say, that I think sometimes you forgot that somebody will hear that, that all your words will come into someone's ears, literally. And even though it seems pretty obvious, pretty simple, but sometimes, well, I truly believe that the simplest strategy are always the best, and just keeping that in mind will already do a lot for your podcast.
The simplest strategy is, I agree, simplicity, right? Complexity is the enemy of execution. If we can have a simple strategy, we know we can at least execute it and get it done.
Yeah.
Talk to me then about what kind of strategies do you have for creating, growing, a thriving podcast?
Well, at my company, Ausha, we are a new generation of hosting platform that also provides, all the most advanced tools to grow their audience, to track the listening details, but also to get revenue from the show. But our mission is really to focus on podcast growth, on audience growth. Because today, in the market, well, you don't have issues of production. Everybody got great ideas, and great hosts. And that's not an issue today for most of us. You don't have neither an issue of distribution, since you have so many listening apps, so you can be distributed quite easily as well. But what is the biggest, issue, and what is the biggest pain point for podcasters is the audience growth. And that is why, you have so much what we call the pod fading, this kind of phenomenon, because a lot of people just stop suddenly, their show. But why are they doing that? It's not because they suddenly don't believe, in their concept anymore, or because they lost, their message on the way. Not at all. It's just because they were discouraged, because they were having so low number of listening, because they have such a small audience that they got discouraged. They just give up, after that. And that is why, that is why first we created Ausha, but this is also the mission, that is driving us every day, because we truly believe that if we want to contribute to this industry, to contribute, to help podcasters to be heard, to amplify their voices, well, we need to focus on audience growth. And for that, we believe as well that we need to help podcasters by providing two main things. First, the most advanced and relevant tools to help them to grow the audience, and second point is all the education, the know-how. Because one thing is to having the tools, but you need to also understand why you need to use them and how you need to use them. And that is why we are developing that from breakfast to dinner since 4 years now. We are also obsessed about that, because we want to give the best tool for them in order to help them to save time and energy in order to promote their show. But also we're producing a lot of free content, pedagogic tutorials and so on, in order to help them to better understand. And that is why as well we created one model, what I call the listener journey model. So in order for you to picture that, well, I'm a 10 years experienced marketer. So of course I took inspiration from the most famous marketing framework. I'm pretty sure that you know about the R framework, the Pirate Metrics. Well, we got inspired by this framework in order to also create a model that I'm always, sharing with all the podcasters where we all collaborate with. The principle of this model is quite simple. Maybe I can project it.
Yes, let's do it.
Casey, yeah?
Modern technology.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's the beauty of this tool. So for the ones who are watching, the video, you can see right now on the screen, so the model I'm talking about, but don't worry for the one who are following only by the audio, because I will go through each stage. So you need to picture a funnel that will go from an unknown people that is not aware at all about your content and about you, and how through 4 main stages we will turn him into a loyal listeners. And in these funnels for us, we have 4 main stages. So the first one is the stage of discovery. Then you go through activation, then you go through playing, and then you finish on the love. For each stage, I can describe you quickly if you want what are the main objectives.
Yeah.
So the first.
This is, by the way, this is really cool. The idea of just getting a bit of a systematic approach to, just like we do. I mean, it's almost like straight out of the marketing podcast world. It's just, hey, this is what, for those of you that aren't marketers, this is what you do. You walk people through stages until they get to the point where you want them. So I'm excited. So dive in.
Great. I know that you will love it, as a marketer that you are, Casey.
Yes. I'm already sold.
I'm glad. So for the first stage of discovery, here at this stage, your main objective is to be visible everywhere. So you need to find and reach your target audience, and you need to be where your listeners or potential listeners will be or could be. At the second stage of activation, here your main objective is to be picked by your targets among all the content they can consume about your topics. Also among all podcasts that already exist. Here, your main objective is to trigger their interest about your content. The first stage of playing, now here the objective is to increase your listening, to make your potential listeners to press the play. And at this stage, they know about your show because they saw your name in the discovery stage. There are triggers, so they clicked on whatever content you pushed on the activation stage, but you still haven't converted them. So here you need to convert them. And then this is how you grow your audience. But you don't stop here because here is only the first trial, let's say. So then you need to work also on the fourth stage, and you need to not forget this last stage about love, because here they know about you, they heard you for a first time, but podcasts is all about how you make them come back again and again on your show. And you make them listen more episodes. You make them addicted to your show. You want them to set an alarm, in a waiting of your next episode. So
I love this. I can't wait to step through each one of these things. So we've got discovery, activation, play, and love. Fun words as well. Love this. So let's start with discovery. Be visible everywhere.
Yeah. So
how do we do that? Everywhere, or everywhere that we want listeners from? Or tell me more about that.
Yeah, with great pleasure. So of course, I'm not sure you will have 4 hours with me, but yeah, I can give you, all the must-have.
I think Squadcast can handle it.
But yeah, I can give you at least the must-have in each stage. What is the most important according to
fantastic.
me? Yeah. So for the first stage of discovery, well, here on the first hand, you have to be visible for podcast listeners. For that, you need to be distributed, on all 22 major podcast listening apps. And you know what, Casey? Today, most of the podcasters only distribute to the two biggest ones, Apple and Spotify. But I don't get it, because why are you limiting yourself? Why are you limiting your voice only to two platforms when you have so many platforms out there? And it's in the SEO strategy. You need to adapt the long tail strategy here as well for the platforms, and you need to be distributed on all platforms everywhere. Just don't be picky, because you will have also people interested in your topic, in this. Smaller platforms. Even though these platforms, individually will make you less audience, well, cumulated together, it can bring a nice additional audience,
That's a really good point. I was about to push back on you and say, well, I could imagine they only did 2 out of 22 platforms because Apple and Spotify have the lion's share of the listens. But you're right. There's that concept in marketing of the long tail, and those things add up. And I have to imagine if some of these other apps are probably innovating around discovery too. And so it's really hard to discover new things on Apple, to discover new things on Spotify. And they made it a little bit easier, but there are other platforms that can make it so much, you have an interest and they're like, here's some great podcasts for you. So if you're on there, maybe you get discovered that much more than anyone else, especially if that platform is trying to make it their job to help you get discovered.
Yeah, definitely. And also you need to put yourself as a podcast listeners, and most of the time creators who are also podcast listeners. Well, you always stick to your favorite listening app, meaning that, I don't know, Casey, on which app are you listening podcasts?
It's definitely Spotify.
Definitely Spotify. Yeah. Okay, I'm listening a podcast on Apple, and most of the time you're not going on other apps, right? So it means that all all the other apps like Stitchers, like even Amazon Music and Deezer and so on, they are on other type of people, that will not discover you if you are not getting listed there.
Yeah, that's so true. It's definitely true. Okay, so I never heard that number before. 22 apps you need to be on. Do you have a checklist? Is there like an OSHA checklist that says, here's the 22?
Of course, but you have it directly in our platform then, because so far we have the simplest
You got me there.
distribution system in OSHA, because you got listed in also on the biggest app. So you know how it can be some kind of time consuming, to get listed on each of them. But that is why we created the simplest system. In few clicks, you get listed in all of them. But you can choose. You can still be picky if you want, and you can choose to only be listed on 2 or 3 if you want to. So you have them all listed there.
Okay, cool. I like it. You got me there. 22. All right. Yeah. So get discovered, be the places where people are, and
where
increase your chances.
Where the podcast listeners are. But yes. Discovery doesn't stop at listening's app, because on the second hand, you can also, and you should, extend your reach by being visible from people that maybe are not podcast listeners, or maybe they will not find you in listening apps, so they can find you, on other places and sometimes on broader channels. So you need to extend your visibility outside listening apps as well. This is something that a lot of podcasters forget about, and about that, one of my first recommendations are first to be visible on the first search engine of the world, which is Google. And Google, with just a website dedicated to your show, then you can appear, on some search page results. If you manage your metadata right, then thanks to your website, dedicated to your show, sometimes people will look at, I don't know, how to best create a marketing podcast, and then bam, Casey, your podcast, will be maybe the first of the second, results in their Google page. And then they discover, your content, and then they also maybe discover the medium of podcasts. So don't be shy, try to extend your reach on Google as well. But don't stop there, also go on the second search engine of the world, which is YouTube, part of the Google group as well. And even more now, nowadays YouTube is investing more and more in podcasts. They're launching new features on YouTube podcast. Well, take that, that vibe, take that trend, and be visible as well on this engine, and open, your content to a whole new audience.
I like this. Okay. So now one of the questions I had relating to a website, does OSHA have some website templates to put? Like, I wonder if there's a ... Does your app do this well? Because I've seen different apps, and yay, we're a hosting platform, but then, man, the templates for what your site looks like, kind of garbage. And then you don't really want to use them, and then you think, well, maybe I have to go use Podpage or something too, So how are those? Can they stand alone? Can we have a custom domain like a .com?
Yeah, of course you can.
Your platform?
So okay. One nice thing is that once, for example, when a podcaster join us and get hosted on OSHA, well, you get automatically a full toolkit of a website, of a smart player, also a smart link, a unique link to listen. Everything is declined instantly, and you can customize a lot of things in it. So all the background, the colors, and whatever you want. But what thing that you need to know is that we are very exigent about design, and we are a design lover, and so we pay a lot of attention to these tools in the platform as well, all the back office used by the podcasters, but especially we're putting more attention to all the communication support used by the podcasters, because according to us, the website of your show, the smart link of your show, these these are the how do you say, like the showcase of your show.
Yeah.
It is kind of the
Yeah.
packaging. Let's say that because my
Yeah.
background came from, the beauty industry, and so we had like all the packaging work. But here is the same, your smart link is the packaging of your show. It is the first thing, listeners, our potential listeners who is discovering you, he's discovering you through this website or through this player or through this smart link first, and it needs to be beautiful. It needs to be
Yes.
comfortable, with a great UX, great UI, and it needs to be at your colors, and respect your universe. Even on the smart link, we have a little artificial intelligence that will also pick the color for you if you don't have one. According, he will analyze
Perfect.
your podcast cover, and he will propose to you,
Yeah.
like, hey, what do you think about these colors? And yeah, if you don't have inspiration, he will help you to
Right.
find one. But if you have, you can do whatever you want. And for enterprises, we even propose so the personalization, the customization, sorry, about the domain, but also about the all the element can be branded to your brand as well.
Wow. Good. Good. And perfectly said that, and I respect the fact that, Paris definitely has beauty built in by default. So your app does as well. It really considers it. And I think we get a little too utilitarian. We get a little too basic sometimes and think that, no one's going to see this, but that's how we buy. That's how we
Yeah.
select. To your point about discovery, you can be in many places, but then you're not going to get to some of these other steps, because if your album artwork looks like you put 15 seconds into it, well, then people are going to assume that maybe your show put 15 seconds of effort into it. So maybe it's not that good. And maybe they won't. Maybe they'll try it anyways. But you want to give yourself every chance you can to present your best self.
Yeah, definitely. And how many times we get frustrated when you have such a good product, but in a scrappy packaging, and then every time it doesn't sell on shell, but it's the same thing in podcasts. It's the same thing. You can do the best content as you want, but if your showcase elements are wrong or not good, then people will also think that, you told me that all the websites that you have so far are garbage. Well, think about the potential listeners when they are arriving on your website. The first thing they will think as well is that, oh, that podcast might be a garbage as well, and that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% too bad. So we can't allow for that. Perfect. So beautiful UI, UX, discovery. Are we still in discovery, or it almost feels like we're blending in now to the next step where we
on
want to
each stage? But you're right. We need to also move on. Well, one last thing on discovery, though. So I was talking about YouTube. YouTube is, according some Profitable, our partners, and Edison research studies, YouTube is the first channel to discover new podcasts for listeners, and the second channel to discover new podcasts for listeners are the social media. So for discovery, you also need to go on social media. It's not only a retention channel, but for that, before going to social media, I need to warn you, because you need to know the rules, of social media. And the rules of social media it's quite basic when you think about it. You need to feed the monster. Literally, like all the social media needs regular and frequent, publishing, but it's so time and energy consuming. Well, that is why we also integrated a social media manager in the platform, but I can tell you more about it later on.
Oh my goodness. No, that's cool. You just thought of everything. I like that.
That's what we try to do, every day for podcasters.
Okay. So social media. Okay. Discover. Okay. Actually,
Are
the
you
question I
writing down
had
your
on.
to-do?
Oh man, I'm running out of paper on my notes over here already. I'm already on the second side. I don't know when I'm gonna start going in the margins in a second. So on the social side, you got to feed the monster, but you also have to play with the rules. What's the best way? I mean, that was surprising to me. I understand YouTube for sure. I've discovered many things on YouTube, but the idea of social helping you be discovered, what's the best social for you to do in order for you to get discovered?
Hashtag and cross promotion. So, for example, on Instagram, which is the first social media for podcasters, well, you need to use a lot of hashtags and use the most relevant one according to your subject. So all your keywords need to be in the hashtags for the all the Instagrammers, the people who are using the social media to see you, appear on the feed. If you have some budgets, well, it can be nice also to use some a bit of paid, advertising on that. But yeah, but if you don't have, one smart thing to do is, well, to help each other and try to find, other, I don't know, Instagram accounts in order to propose some cross promotion, like find another, let's say, micro influencers who have the same size of community as yours, DM him and propose to him that you can mention his account and he can do it on his side as well, and mention your podcast maybe or things like that, and try, to leverage each other's community.
Leverage each other's community. Hashtags and cross promotion. Simple, straightforward. Let's go. Let's do it.
Simply as the best.
Love it. Anything else on discovery? Or
no, I think we can go on
should we-
activation.
Okay. Yeah. I know you have 2 or 3 hours on each one.
Yeah,
so
right.
We're scratching the surface.
And you told me that we have only 1 hour together.
Oh, did I mention that? I thought I said 8 hours. I thought I said 8 hours.
Okay, I need to take my day off then.
Right? No, it still counts as working.
Let me ask my boss.
Yeah.
So if you want to move to activation, just to remind you, at this stage, so you have been seen, on some channels, your name appeared to their eyes, but you need then still to click on. So far, they're not ready yet to listen to your podcast. You still need to make them click on your name first. And here, the most important is that they need to know a bit more, about you, about your show, and what is the best, of providing them a little bit of a taste. When I'm passionate about gastronomy and food and what's the best hook, for me is just make me try and then I will buy fully if I love it. It's the same in podcast.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right? It's the same in podcast. I'm pretty sure, Casey, if I give you a piece of chocolate, you will buy the full box if you like it.
Yes, I will buy the full box.
So for podcast,
I'll buy several
yeah,
boxes.
you buy several boxes for sure. But
hey, same thing with wine, real quick.
Yeah.
Like there's a local wine store nearby, and they're constantly going to France and other countries, and every weekend they have a free wine tasting.
Yes, you're completely right. This is the model of vineyards. Yeah.
Go, and it's the best. It's the best sample, and this is amazing. Yeah. Inevitably, I'm always buying. I have 5 samples. I have to buy one of them. They're really good.
Yeah.
It's not like just like, oh, that was an okay wine that you tried yourself. They know what they're doing, and they picked really good ones, and so then you must continue. So how does that tie into podcasting?
Well, so what is the piece of chocolate, or what is the sip of the wine for podcast? Well, for me, there are the short trailers, like the short audio extract that you turn into videos, for social media. So these video trailers, you need to sample them and to share and distribute them wherever you can, because these are the short extracts of your podcast with your voice, and you need to find, the most relevant extract, and the one who will hook the most all the people. So if you have a funny element or a cliffhanger or whatever, or the punchline, the mantra I shared with you, like, oh, Jennifer Hans said, be obsessed, my listeners. Oh my God, okay, what's happening next? And so you need to find the right extract, transform it into video trailers, because social media, this monster love videos way more than visual, way more than pictures. You also need to add auto transcription. We have a lot of podcasters who told us that they saw a huge difference in their KPIs when they put transcription and compared to when they don't put it. It's way more efficient with the transcription. So yeah. So you need to provide all these samples because here is the way of tasting your podcast. And we were mentioning about, when you put on your social media, most of the time you have to use a unique link to listen to your podcast. So one link where the listeners can go and on their favorite platforms. Here at Ausha, we call that the smart link. And so on the smart link, here is where you do your first impression, and you don't want to miss your first impression. Well, on our smart link, we also put it directly a player, meaning that when they are discovering it, on social media and they click on your unique link to listen, before, going on a listening app, they can try, your last episode, and either they just get stuck and they listen to the full episode on it if they want, or, they can just have a taste of it and then, continue on their favorite listening apps to listen to the full episode.
Wow. Love it. Smart link. So that if they're only going to do one click, give them the perfect click so that they can
Exactly, you get it.
follow along. Yeah. Yeah. Don't waste that click. So many times, even on the marketing side, I see someone with an ad and it goes to the homepage. You promised me something and now I go to your home.
Yeah.
It's just a waste of a click. So if you're only going to get that one, if you work so hard on that previous step, and we're trying to earn that click, make sure we make the most of it. Smart links. Very cool.
The less steps you have, until they hear your voice, the better it is for your conversion.
I love it. Do you see people actually playing those trailers, or is it more of discovery on social, like a YouTube short or reel or something? But do people actually listen to trailers?
Well, most of the time, since they're doing, most 30-second lengths in average, yeah, they are listening to them. But I would say that still it's quite short. People are most of the time listening to it, but you need to secure, the first seconds. It's like in any content, audio or video, the first minutes or the first seconds are the most important. If you don't hook them instantly, they just pass because they have a lot of things in their feed.
Okay. Amazing. We've been discovered. We've been activated.
And we need to play.
We're not even going to have time.
We want to play.
Should we just... What do we do?
You still need paper because I'm seeing you like taking so much more.
Yeah, no, I have no paper. I have
you need to write in your hands.
2 more left. I do. I'll start writing on my hands. I'll be a crazy person. I'll come out of the studio like, guys, I just had this great conversation, and I'm like writing all over my hands, and they'll call the ambulance. They'll call the doctor.
So Casey, about the first stage of playing. Well,
yes, play.
So let's play. So when they arrive, on the listening app, so they discovered you, they seen you, they click on it, and they arrive on the listening app. Hey, here they haven't pressed play yet. So you need to activate.
Oh no! What was activation though? Did we got that was the trailer, or that was the click to get to us,
to get it to have a taste of it, but you still need to make them press play and sit and listen to the full episode. And here, at this stage, they are alone facing, their listening app. And the only thing they are seeing about you, because, listening apps, they're quite very like pure design. So it's really sober. So the only thing that is representing you is your cover and your metadata. So meaning the title and the description, which means like very minimalist. And you have only these 3 things to convince. So work them well. So your cover, you need to have big elements, try to be, colorful and be outstanding, compared to the other covers of your category, of podcast, of your genre of podcast. Do some benchmark, try to see where your cover will appear, and try to be just, more outstanding than the other ones who will be next to you. And also, if you need to put words, put them in big, very big, because we need to remember the size of a smartphone. So the size of your cover will appear like in not even 1 centimeter. Can you remind me in the US if you convert centimeters?
Inches. Yeah. But either way, it'll get small. It's like when I see a road sign and it was designed by someone who didn't realize the sign was going to be next to the highway. I can't read it. It's just too small. So less is more, right? You don't need to have 30 a whole paragraph in there. Have enough that we want to click and see the play. Like the goal is to get them to play. So Don't give them your whole essay.
Exactly.
Tell them your life story. Just give them a couple words.
Yes. And on the title
Love it.
and the description, you need to also put straight away your keyword. Don't put words that doesn't matter. Just put what you think, the few words that will hook them, to listen to your content. And on the description, well, here you can be greedy. You can put whatever you want. You have 4,000 character you can put in it. So just go for it. Here you can go a very like deep through and exhaustive. What you need?
Are you saying, is that per episode?
Yeah, per episode.
4,000
Yeah.
per. See, that's great. I'm not everyone knows this, but I've shopped platforms recently, and not all of them allow you to have that many words. So if your show notes or you have nice bullets or takeaways, or they don't have room, and it also
Yeah.
presents it in a weird way, and it doesn't look.
Yeah,
good.
on the show notes, you need to stay sharp, but on episode notes, you need to go deep and to be the most complete as possible. Because I don't know if you heard about, but one of the latest survey of podcast hosts, they discovered that 40% of listeners discover podcasts by typing some keywords in the search bar of the listening app. 40%, meaning that they are looking for, I don't know, how to podcast or marketing, podcast marketing subject, or expert. And here, because you, Casey, put it in our, episode notes, then they will find it, and then they will discover your show, and then they will discover Casey, and okay, great. Now you hook them.
Right. Okay. Very cool.
One another element to help to play. Well, again, the first point was about how you make them convert in listening apps. But again, you need to work outside listening apps. The world is big, so outside listening apps, then you need to you have your player, your audio player. Which is the smart player, at Ausha. And so you need to put your player wherever you can. So on your own website, if you have, or you can also, try to deal, and again, to do some cross promotion deal with other websites that might have the same target audience than you. Like Casey, for you have so many, marketing bloggers and so on. And, if you just send them emails like, hey, my podcast is about that. If you like it, you know what? We are having the same target audience. Put this player, and you just put an HTML, embed code, and they just have to copy and paste it on the website. And you can, propose to them that you will mention, their blog on your podcast. And yeah, that's it. You can also leverage each other's communities again.
I love. Very cool. Leverage the communities. Build from there.
And again, the player is just a tool for you. And again, the best showcase for your podcast.
Right. Because that's the thing they're hitting play. That's the click. So maximize, again, we're optimizing every step of the path here. Exactly. So that makes total sense.
Exactly. And once they click on the button play, once they convert, you can still, enrich the listening experience. I don't know if you ever heard about the chapters. You can do some chaptering of your
I've seen that on YouTube.
Yeah, you can do it on YouTube, but you can also do it on Ausha. And you can, for example, define, some chapters. Let's say, for example, on our episode, Casey, you can create chapters like for each stage, of the listener journey model. So let's say like Jennifer is talking about discovery here until the time code we took like 4 hours. So after the 5th hour, she's talking about the stage play and things like that. And you put the chapter, you cut, your episode according chapters. So it also makes, the listening more dynamics. It's okay that listeners are not listening, the full every second of your podcast. You just want them to get the information they want. They're more interesting. And maybe they don't have the time today, but, they will come back, to listen to the full episode. At least they know that, Casey is so nice. He cut the episode for me. Then I can go straight to the information I want. And, on our platform, when you do the chapters, you can even have fun by putting for each chapter a CTA. So, for example, you can say like, okay, I know Jennifer mentioned about, on the play stage, she mentioned the platform and to try, the chapter feature. Here I can put a link, to the website, to Ausha.co, so they can try it directly. But you can also have even more fun by changing the picture. On the player, you have the picture of the cover most of the time.
Sure.
This is standard. But at the chapter, you can choose to, to put a screenshot, of a player
really?
of the chapter, or if you want to, just put a picture of a cat or whatever, you can put whatever you want, but you can change the picture and that enrich,
Right.
the experience, and that's nice.
Especially if someone was, say, talking through a funnel of how to grow your podcast and they had 4 key steps, they could show things on each
Yeah.
chapter. That's
Or
really
if you have
powerful.
many guests,
Amazing.
or I don't know, like you have many chroniclers, many journalists, then you can put picture of each of one when they are talking, be creative.
Right. Yes. It definitely opens up another element that you can design and create from, which is really special, so that it's not just this one-dimensional. We're not just doing audio. We're not just doing audio and video. We're doing audio, video, and we're changing the cover art. Like, things are happening. Fantastic. So before we turn into pumpkins, let's the last stage
of love,
which is the most important stage.
Yes, right? Because love is
Talk
so
about love.
important in life, and that because we are French, we are so romantic.
Yes, of
Right?
course.
Well, so about love, for me, there are three must have that you need to work through. So first, you need to address your podcast. You need to show them what is behind the cover, or who is behind the cover, who and what happened behind the microphone. The best thing is to invite them, in the backstage, because I don't know, it happened to you. When there is a show you like and a host you like, you always want to Google and see how he looked like. And after you see his face, you want to know what he did in his life. And after that, you continue to today. But this is how you create attachment to a human. That's just, it's proper to us. This is our instinct, So if you want them to love you, you need to give them something, So you need to show them the backstage. You need to show them who you are. And how you do that concretely, you need to create snacking content. So a lot of small contents, to enrich also the experience around your podcast. I don't know, you can show some pictures or videos about the recording session. When we didn't start the record and we were laughing about other things, why not capturing that moment and share, with them, and in things about yourself, Casey. You have such an expertise, but you have such an you told me that you came many times in France, and you were also speaking a bit of Mandarin and things like that. I'm sorry, I told everyone everything.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so interesting, and I'm pretty
just
sure
don't
that
tell everyone that I have like a third arm. Just don't share that with people. And I'm actually from Mars. Don't share that either. Yeah.
But yeah.
So you're giving people inside access. You're giving them behind the scenes, so they can feel special, like they're a part of. They can see in the wings of the theater. Yeah, it feels special to have. It's like a VIP experience.
Exactly, and you give them some elements to hook their attachment to you, because you cannot only love a voice. That's, even though it's pretty intimate already, but it's not enough. And you need to picture everything about the person, so then you can attach. So yeah, again, in our platform, because it's a lot of work to do that, of course, we are aware about that. But, again, in our social media manager integrated in the platform, you can auto-publish directly, all the video trailers, but you can also publish, the pictures or text or whatever, in order to planify your whole, calendar for social media. Again, our objective is to save you time, energy, and money.
I could see even doing a whole show on love on Podcaster, and back to the very beginning when we first started, you were talking about being obsessed with your listeners, and I can see a funnel. I can see a stepped progression like this. At the heart of it is the listener.
Yeah.
The listener was the one. It wasn't the podcaster going down that path. It was the listener, all the way to love and to being a loyal listener at the end.
Exactly.
Tell me real quick then, how can we find out more about you? Where do you want us to connect with you? And then where do we find this platform that we've been hearing so many things about?
Well, on me personally, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So you can find me at Jennifer Han, H-A-N. And if there are a lot of people with the same name as me, you just add Ausha or L'Oreal, my previous company, and I'm pretty sure you will find me there. And about my platform about Ausha, well, you can try and by yourself. We have a free trial without putting your credit card. It is on the website ausha.co, so AUSHA.co. CO.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I did see that free trial on there. Worth checking out. I mean, all these things built into it. It was almost like a running joke at some point. It was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Oh yeah, it's built in.
Yeah,
oh, that sounds great too. Yep, that's built in. So I'm looking forward to trying it out myself. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Maybe we can chat again at some later point, and I'll tell you my experiences, and then maybe we'll move all of our podcasts over.
Yeah, please provide me your feedbacks. But yeah, you're right. What a funny thing is, we are so we exist since 4 years now, but we are launched in the US since only half a year. And you know what? A funny story I can tell you about is when we launched in the US, we started to do some ads, on social media. And the first ads, we received some comments from American podcasters thinking that we were a scam. Because they're like, it's too good to be true, and
good, it can't be
and
real.
They were they were discussing, between them in comments of the post, saying like, is it a scam? Like, it's not possible to have all in that, and at the same price as the other hosting platform. And we had, our community manager was struggling, explaining like, no, we are not a scam. We does exist since many years. It's just that now we are new in the US, but we exist before and we have already.
But that's what a scam would say, Jennifer. It's like when you send an email, and sometimes I'm like, this isn't actually spam. Like, this is me typing that. But I'm like, that's what the spam message would say too. What do you do? I don't know how. I
can't promise.
You have to just
I'm
check
real.
it out. I guess.
I'm legit.
Right. You come on a podcast, and then you chat. People are, well, I don't think you're CGI. If you are, you're really good at CGI. You may be the first AI, and if you are, nice to meet you. But I think you're a real person. Hello, world. Fantastic. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on here, teaching me, sharing your app and your progression with me and this model, the listener journey model. Thank you so much for coming on here.
I hope it will help a lot of people.
100%. And I will say, I'm impressed with our internet speeds, because I've had better reception chatting with you than with some people in like Western United States.
Oh,
so whatever fiber optic cable we're traveling here together, it's working quite well. I couldn't even tell that you were like far that way. So fantastic. Those listening, if you enjoyed this, if you learned something, and I know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here. See, I even ran out. I had to put love in the corner.
Arms as well.
I don't know. Nobody puts love in the corner, but I had to. So, wow. If you've learned something, share this with one person, 3 people, 9,000 people, but put your spin on it. What did you learn? What was your big takeaway? What was your big aha moment? And with that, Jennifer, thank you again for being on.
Thank you, Casey, for inviting me. And that's such a beautiful idea. Share with one person. I love that.
Yeah, just one person. Show the love. Yeah. Teach somebody. Just one person.
Spread the love. I love that. Perfect. Thank you so much, Casey.
100%. Yes. And this has been another amazing episode of Creating the Greatest Show. We will see you all next time. And next time doesn't have to be next week. Life's too short, and we have way too much to talk about. Find show notes full of takeaways, lessons, and links at creatingthegreatestshow.com. For more information on launching your own podcast or working with us to produce your existing show, come on down to the big tent at ringmaster.com. Until then, friends, whatever you do, do it with all your might. Work at it, if necessary, early and late, in season and out of season, not leaving a stone unturned and never deferring for a single hour that which can be done just as well now. P.T. Barnum.